Most Toyota Tundra owners don't even realize this. Your truck may not come with a rear sway bar from the factory. If you've ever taken a fast corner, hauled a heavy load, or driven through high crosswinds on the freeway, you've probably felt that loose rolling feeling in the back. Well, today we're going to fix that. I've got an aftermarket rear sway bar kit from Amazon. It's designed specifically for this second generation Toyota Tundra. Should fit years 2007 through 2021 with a solid rear axle. It's one of the highest rated kits online, and it promises to tighten up the handling, reduce body roll, and make the truck feel a whole lot more stable on the road. We'll go step by step through the installation, talk about what it actually does, and see if this simple upgrade really delivers the performance that it claims. Let's get started. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention this kit that we have here from Amazon is about a third the price of what you can get from Toyota TRD's factory resource. So they do make a TRD kit for this. You can buy from your local Toyota dealer. I don't remember the exact pricing. I want to say it was around $450, somewhere in there. And this kit we've got here is somewhere closer to $140. So pick and choose what you want to install. If you're going to do this job yourself, there's lots of options out there. This client has provided for us this kit from Amazon, asked us to install it. We're going to go ahead and give it a shot. It's got the similar dimensions to the TRD's factory kit, and it's got great reviews on it. So let's get this car up in the air. This way we can start working on it. Before we get started on this, I wanted to show you the front sway bar on here, where it connects to the control arm through the sway bar link. And I also wanted to show you the difference of this front sway bar link, how massive it is compared to the rear one. You can see these kind of side by side, and it's quite a bit smaller in diameter, although it should be. We've got independent rear suspension in the front, and we've got a solid rear axle in the back. This is absolutely necessary when you have independent suspension. That's why you'll see a lot of the newer Tundras, they have one from the factory, and these don't because it's got that solid rear axle in the back. All right, guys, before we get started hanging all these parts in the car, I want to kind of explain what we've got laid out in front of us. This way everybody can follow along. I've got the main sway bar here. There's a couple of holes in the ends. Those will connect to these sway bar end links. These sway bar end links will have a large hole on one side, a large arm, and then a small arm. This smaller arm is designed to connect to the sway bar itself, and then the other part's going to connect up top to the frame. We also have our U-bolts here. These are going to wrap around the axle housing. There's a specific placement here on the instructions of where these get placed in there. I'll show you when we get up on the car to do that. And then the bracket will sit in here like this, so that this cutout will wrap around the axle tube itself. It's got a squared off axle tube in this truck. We can show you close up when we get up there. Then we've got our sway bar bushing bracket. That's going to end up going underneath here. As this goes up on the housing, we're going to put it like this, and that'll allow us to clamp that to the axle. And then we've got a bushing that's going to go in here as well, like so. And we've got a bunch of hardware laid out. There are 4 of these larger nuts in here that are going to go on the U-bolts. And then we've got a couple of smaller nuts here that are going to go with these smaller bolts. Those are to bolt the sway bar end links to the end of the sway bar itself. A bunch of washers and a couple of spacers we'll need here as well. All right, I'm ready to start assembling some of these parts as the instructions have dictated. Now, I do want to mention in here, some of these shots I want to get you some close-ups, and you're going to notice that the black components, the hardware, are peeling some paint off of there. They did not come from the factory like that. These parts are gold from the factory. The client has decided they wanted to spray paint these so they don't stick out with the gold components in there, and the paint is already starting to peel a bit. So not a whole lot we can do about that. If he wants to fix it later, he'll have to go in there and touch them up. But just keep in mind that these will come gold in the package as delivered, and these are peeling only because they've got spray paint on them. So as we continue through here, I'm going to show you how to start assembling these sway bar end links. They want you to take the large bolt, put a washer on it, and then we're going to put it through the large hole on the end link here. And then we're going to install another washer and a sleeve. That's going to get that ready to install in the frame in lieu of the factory bolt that's in the factory trailer hitch receiver. Okay, so the most rearward bolt on there is the one we're going to replace with this. If you happen to not have a factory trailer hitch, the one that came with the truck, then they'll ask you to install an extra washer on after that spacer before you bolt this up to the frame. We'll continue on and do the same thing with the other side. The big end gets the bolt, the washer, a second washer, and a spacer. With the hardware installed on the end links in the big end, we'll go ahead and take out the bolt that we need to in the frame that's going through the factory trailer hitch, and we'll hang these on there. This bolt here is the one we need to remove. We'll install this one. Same thing on the driver's side. All right, we'll leave those loose until we get everything in place. So the locations for the U-bolts are outlined in the instructions here. They want this driver's side to be to the outside of this bracket, so in this area, and they want the passenger side to be to the inside of this bracket. We'll go ahead and put our U-bolts in those locations. And you want to make sure you don't pinch any of the electrical wires here, and no brake lines. Okay. Our bracket's going to go in facing up. And I'm going to hang this bracket for a second. Oh, that's weird. Installing the passenger side here. These are a little bit of a tight fit. The next thing we're going to do is put the bushings on the sway bar. They asked you to put a little bit of grease on there, which they've supplied here. So we'll cut this open. Apply a little bit of grease to the inside of the bushings, and then we'll wrap them around the sway bar. Okay, and we're going to lift that up to the car and get that installed. With our sway bushings now installed on the sway bar, we can install the brackets over the top. And then we want to make sure that these ends of the sway bar, with it laying on the ground like this, are pointing up. If it's pointing the opposite way, we won't be able to connect the end links on it. I'm going to have Ben give me a hand here and lift this up into place. Ben, can I have a hand? I'm going to ask you to hold these. And grab that end. Nope. Let's see if we can get this up in place. We'll need to install this shackle on here. Catch one side, just hold it in place for a second. Let me do one side at a time. I'm going to install one washer and one nut. See if that allows this to hang just a little bit. All right, let's see if I can get this one on. the washer and the nut. Okay, should be good there. And we'll see if we can get this up over this U-bolt. One washer, one nut there, and we're gonna squeeze this together. See if we can get this to hang on here. And then with this dangling, we should be able to maneuver everything around and get everything lined up the way it needs to be. All right, now that I've got that installed loosely and everything dangling, I just want to connect this sway bar up to the end link here. And then once we've got it all connected, we start tightening some things down. So put this in here with a bolt and a washer. We're gonna go through the sway bar. Then we'll put another washer on. And then we'll put the smaller nut that came with the kit that goes with this bolt. We'll do the same thing on the other side. The bolt and the washer are going to go through. We'll put the washer on the outside and put the nut on. Now everything is in place, but it's still very loose. So we can just start going through and tightening everything up. This U-bolt needs to be underneath the wiring harness, and it needs to be to the left side of this bracket on the passenger side. On the driver's side, we want the U-bolt to be on the left side or the outside of this bracket. Okay, and again, make sure you slip underneath this wire. Put these U-bolts in place where they belong. Everything is fitted. I'm just gonna bring these up a little bit closer to get everything kind of sit where it belongs. I just kind of want to see where everything lays once it's started bringing it all together. Make sure I've got good clearance on both sides of the differential. And we'll just tighten up a few more bolts here. Mounts to the frame. And on the passenger side. All right. Before we tighten these U-bolts, we want to make sure that there's an equal amount of thread on either side. This way we don't have it cocked in one direction or another. Go ahead and bring this up evenly, and then we can hit it with the torque wrench. So there are torque specs for all of these things, but before we torque them down, I just wanted to check to make sure everything looks like it's in line, everything's spaced out evenly, nothing's gonna rub, and everything looks like it's lined up properly. We'll get our torque wrench out and we'll go ahead and tighten everything up. I'm trying to read the torque specs on here. I feel like they could have used a larger piece of paper, especially for us older folks. Looks like 84 foot-pounds on the big bolts to the frame, and 48 foot-pounds on the smaller bolts. Let's get at it. I'm gonna go ahead and set my torque wrench here to 84 foot-pounds for the large bolts. If you guys haven't seen my torque wrench video, I created one on all different types of torque wrenches, how to use them properly, and I specifically demoed this torque wrench here to show you what this digital style torque wrench will do as far as the different settings on it, foot-pounds, Newton meters, and torque angle on this particular tool, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and torque these bolts down. The cool thing about this torque wrench, it's got lights on both sides and on the front, and it beeps. So even in this scenario where I can't really see because the exhaust's in the way, it lets me know it's tight. We'll tighten the lower end of these links, 48. And then we'll try to keep tightening these U-bolts down evenly, back and forth until we get to our 48 foot-pounds on these. I'm just trying to maintain the amount of thread that's sticking out below the bracket here. Keep it even on both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. Same thing over here. I'm just trying to work them back and forth. Keep them even on both sides.
Yeah, okay.
I can see them getting close because my torque wrench is starting to go yellow with the lights instead of green. This lets me know I'm getting close to my torque spec here without it beeping. See it going yellow? And this one here, yellow. I'm getting pretty close. It's getting red now. In the red zone. Okay. I wanted to point out to you what I've been using here for tools on this job in case you decide to do this at home using this kit. I've got my 1/2-inch Milwaukee impact on here. This has the 1/2-inch tip on it, and then I use my 1/2-inch drive sockets, a 19 and a 21 impact socket. And I've got here a wrench, 19 millimeter and 18 millimeter. That's basically all we need for the bolts on there, and then your torque wrench to go ahead and torque everything down when you're done. Let's go ahead and give this thing a drive and see what it feels like. So we're road testing this Toyota Tundra now after we've installed the sway bar in the rear. Just want to see if I can feel anything noticeable on my initial road test here, see if anything feels different. And I remember our last time before we installed that sway bar, when I kind of moved the wheel left and right, you could feel a lot of sway in the vehicle, and it does feel a little bit tighter right now. So it's, you know, obviously jerking the camera around here and things, but I do feel it a little bit stiffer in the back. So I guess the real test would be on a road test on the freeway here, you know, taking this thing on a drive out of state somewhere and see how it performs. But as of right now, you can feel just a little bit tighter in the back end of this truck. So I think this is probably going to perform as advertised. And if this is something that you're interested in putting in your car, go ahead and check it out. We'll leave some links down below in the video. I want to thank you for watching the video. I hope it's helpful. If this is something you want to put on your car, don't forget we got lots of great content in our library for you if you like this type of stuff. Go ahead and check out another video right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like our content. We've got plenty more coming at you. New videos releasing every Thursday. Thanks for watching OrtoTech Garage.